Many may picture Mississippi as a quiet rural landscape, lined with slow rivers, endless cotton fields, and gentle southern skies. But beneath that calm surface lies a deeper, more complex, and far harsher reality than most imagine. From Mound Bayou, a beacon of hope during the Jim Crow era, to Natchez, a city both rich and dark in history, each of these places reveals a different layer of the social landscape that shaped the heart of America. So what happens when a community, rejected by the world around it, decides to build a new one on its own terms? In the late 19th century, as the shadows of racial segregation under Jim Crow stretched across the American South, a flicker of hope appeared in the Mississippi Delta. Deep in the wilderness and swamps, two formerly enslaved men, Isaiah T. Montgomery and Benjamin Green, set out to create a town entirely owned and governed by Black people. They named it Mound Bayou, and soon it became a symbol of resilience, self-reliance, and empowerment for African Americans. The rich Delta soil, once overlooked, was transformed into a thriving settlement, complete with banks, schools, churches, and even the region's first hospital for Black residents. President Theodore Roosevelt once called it the jewel of the Delta. For decades, Mound Bayou stood as a safe haven, a place where Black families could live, work, and dream without the constant fear of racial violence. But that prosperity didn't last forever. Economic changes, mass migration, and a devastating fire that destroyed its business district weakened the town's foundations. Still today, Mound Bayou remains a predominantly Black community, a lasting reminder of its extraordinary past and an undying spirit. To the northeast in Coahoma County lies Jonestown, a quiet town with a striking demographic, 100% African American. With a population of only about 941 as of 2025, Jonestown stands as an extreme example of the racial polarization that still exists in parts of Mississippi. But why is it so homogeneous? Isn't it, after all, just another southern town? Unlike Mound Bayou, which was born from a bold vision of independence, Jonestown reflects the historical settlement patterns and economic forces that have shaped the Delta for over a century. While its founding may not be steeped in the same heroic legacy, its very existence reveals how communities across Mississippi remain racially uniform at the hyper-local level. Life here often mirrors the harsh economic struggles of Black communities in the Delta, one of the poorest regions in the United States. Behind the stillness, Jonestown carries stories of everyday resilience, of shared challenges, and the strength that comes from a racial unity forged, not by choice, but by circumstance. Just a few miles from Jonestown stands the town of Coahoma, where the population, though not entirely homogeneous, is still overwhelmingly African American, a demographic that echoes the legacy of slavery and segregation embedded in the Delta's soil. Originally built as a railroad stop in the 1880s, Coahoma has seen its fair share of rise and fall. Like many small towns across the Delta, it faces significant economic hardship. Most of its residents live in poverty, and outside investment is rare. Yet, amid all that scarcity, Coahoma remains a place of deep cultural roots, of tight-knit community life, and a proud Black heritage that refuses to fade. Moving into Humphreys County, the town of Louise offers one of the most extreme examples of demographic segregation in the state. With a Black population exceeding 90%, Louise borders on complete homogeneity, less by intentional design, and more by the weight of history. Unlike towns founded on racial self-determination, Louise is the product of slavery, segregation, and economic pressures that kept many African Americans rooted to the land. Life in Louise reflects the harsh realities of ongoing social and economic inequality. It is a portrait of a community fighting to survive within systemic challenges, where resources are scarce and opportunity often feels like a distant promise. A similar narrative unfolds in Clark County, though Shubuta carries with it a far darker past than its quiet surface suggests. While the town is predominantly African American, over 80%, its identity is shaped not just by who lives there, but by what happened there. Shubuta is marked by a grim legacy of racial violence, most notably the infamous mass lynchings that remain etched into the collective memory of the region. These events, chronicled in works like Hanging Bridge, Racial Violence, and America's Civil Rights Century, 2016, serve as chilling reminders of the terror and racial tensions that once defined the Deep South. The presence of other racial minorities did not shield Shubuta from the shadows of this history. Instead, the town stands as a haunting reminder that Black majority populations have not always meant freedom from oppression. Shubuta's story is not only about who stayed, but about the trauma they inherited, passed down from a brutal past that still lingers in the present. Then there's Yazoo City, a town with a name as unique as its history. With a Black majority population of roughly 87%, Yazoo City stands apart in the Delta for its larger size, nearly 10,000 residents, and more complex demographic history. Yet, like many areas across Mississippi, the city is confronting a steady population decline. Since its peak around the year 2000, Yazoo City has lost residents, a trend largely driven by dwindling economic opportunities, particularly for younger generations. The city's Black community has had to adapt to this ongoing shift, striving to keep the city's spirit alive amid economic headwinds. Yazoo City grapples with natural disasters, uneven access to public services, underfunded education, and a fragile job market, all while trying to preserve its rich cultural legacy. Let's shift now to South Central Mississippi. Along the historic El Camino corridor lies a town that seems to hold two stories within one name, Prentiss. Unlike many towns in the Delta, where racial makeup tends to be more homogeneous, Prentiss is known for its nearly even split between Black and white residents. This demographic balance offers a more nuanced picture, not only of racial struggle, but also of the potential for coexistence. Beneath the charm of a small town and local attractions like the popular Longleaf Trace bike trail, there's another story behind the name. In Bolivar County, another Prentiss once stood, a prosperous river port that was destroyed during the Civil War and eventually swallowed by the Mississippi River in the 1870s. The contrast between the living and the lost Prentiss symbolically captures the fate of many Mississippi towns. Some adapt and persist in new contexts, while others are simply swept away by the tide of history. Still, the modern-day Prentiss offers a glimpse of a community where racial difference does exist, but doesn't dominate the entire narrative, offering a faint hope for a more integrated future. If Prentiss offers a glimpse of racial balance, Friars Point tells a very different story. Sitting on the banks of the mighty Mississippi River, Friars Point is one of the oldest towns in the state, its identity deeply tied to the water that shaped it. Once a vital port for shipping cotton, the arrival of the railroad in the 1870s slowly diminished its role as a trade center. But Friars Point carved out its own space in American music history. Legendary blues artists like Robert Nighthawk and Muddy Waters once played here, leaving behind echoes of melodies steeped in hardship and hope. Friars Point became a silent witness to the birth of a genre that gave voice to the voiceless. In that sense, the town teaches us how beauty can emerge from adversity and how the stories of those without political power can endure through art. Today, Friars Point may no longer be a bustling port, but its blues legacy still resonates, drawing in those who seek the roots of America's most soul-bearing sound. A different kind of struggle comes from the Mississippi Delta town of Alligator. While previous towns have mostly black populations, Alligator stands out as a stark reminder of entrenched economic inequality. Though not originally founded as an all-black town, Alligator is now considered one of the poorest communities in the United States. With a predominantly African-American population, its story is a raw portrait of how systemic poverty can entrap a community for generations. Lack of investment, job opportunities, and access to basic services have created a cycle of hardship that's hard to break. Life in Alligator reflects the harsh reality faced by many black communities in the Delta, where hope and daily survival often live at odds. Here, the struggle isn't just against economic limits, but against a system that keeps those limits firmly in place. We've arrived at the final name on this list of forgotten black towns. This is Natchez, perched on the banks of the Mississippi River, offering perhaps the most layered and paradoxical story of them all. With a majority black population and a deeply complex history, Natchez is a city of contradictions. On one hand, it's home to some of the South's grandest antebellum plantations, symbols of wealth built on slavery. On the other hand, Natchez was once the second largest slave port in the South, and later, a crucial center for civil rights activism. In short, it is a city where beauty and brutality coexist in history. Life in Natchez reflects the ongoing effort to reconcile a violent past with a living present. Here, the black community continues to fight for cultural preservation, while also demanding recognition for the suffering endured by their ancestors. Natchez serves as a reminder that history never truly dies. It continues to shape lived reality and current struggles. Together, these stories of forgotten black towns in Mississippi form a mosaic of the African American experience. They're not just dots on a map, but living narratives of resilience, struggle, and hope. From the racial utopia of Mound Bayou to the haunted shadows of Shubuta, each town offers a unique perspective on the fight for place, voice, and identity in a society that has often pushed them to the margins. The blues legacy of Friars Point, the structural poverty in Alligator, and the layered history of Natchez. They are all part of a greater narrative, one in which the past is not a closed chapter, but an active force shaping the present. This is a story of how a community long denied and oppressed found the strength to build, to create, and to endure. In the end, every one of these towns, through their losses and their legacies, stand as silent witnesses to the unyielding spirit of humanity, even in the face of its harshest trials.